With over 4 decades of changing lives, your self-discovery archaeologist. Get ready to be the best of you with your host, Beverly Zymet.
Hello and welcome to the Beverly Zymet Show, where being the best you that you can be has just gotten easier. Oh, my guest today is Rueben Diredger. Did I say that right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. So, Ruben's calling in from Manitoba, Canada, and he is going to share with how he helps you get a business started or going or even going better, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we work with all types of entrepreneurs. It's a lot of new people or people who are maybe around 6 figures that want to go to the next level. So it's mainly, people that are under $1 million per year. We work with those people, and mainly in the online space, which is booming right now with everything going on in the world. And so, that's the people that we serve.
Well, this is going to be a great show. We got a lot of good information. So thank you so much for taking your time today to be here with me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, me as well. Honestly, I tell everyone that when I'm on a podcast or a show or whatever it is, it's one of my favorite things is just to get on something and just serve people. So I'm really excited about it.
You know, and you just said something very key there. Serve people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what this is all about. You know, we're all in this together. And it's what can we do to help each other become that better them? How do we become a better self? And by serving others in whatever manner that is, helps
exactly.
us serve ourselves, right? To bring that up. And if we don't get better every day and every action that we take, why are we taking that action?
100%. We have one of the core values of our business is heart-centered and business savvy, because I believe there's a lot of really heart-centered people who truly want to serve, that they're kind of like in the weeds because all the good marketers are out marketing them. And so one of my goals is always to teach the people who I think are the greatest, most heart-centered, and most servant leader people to be the best in business, because I truly believe that those will be the best businesses.
Well, and that's something too, that a lot of times we have a story. We have, like you say, what we want to serve others that's going to really help them. But it's that other little piece. So we're really good at what we do and how we can help others and serve others, yet we're missing that little piece of how do I get it out there? How do I find the people that are looking for me, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how I started. I always wanted to just help people, but I just didn't know how to do it. And that's where learning the skills and the systems and all the business stuff came into play.
And then you learned how to capitalize on it and say, hey, I got something that works here, right?
Exactly.
And it works consistently. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of times that when we are getting into business, entrepreneurs, we're used to that time clock, punching, 9 to 5, so to speak, that when we step out, it's being consistent, persistent, and disciplined. Do you find that those are probably some of the biggest challenge that your clients are having?
Yeah, and it's something I actually talk a lot about with my clients, because a lot of people, they don't understand. I mean, we always talk about momentum in business, and to get into momentum, the key thing actually is not intensity of work, it's consistency of work. A lot of people think if I put a lot of effort in here and there, I'll get somewhere. But it's all in the consistency. It's kind of, I always talk about the unsexy things about business are what create success. And so actually looking at the numbers, actually tracking stuff, basically learning the right business methodologies that work, like you said, across all businesses consistently. It's really the key, because there's a lot of flashy things out there of build your business like this or that, a lot of hype, and that's what we're trying to kind of dismiss in the spaces. There's a lot of people that are just hyping people up, when I believe, like I said, yes, we need people to become business savvy, but they need to be the heart-centered people. So that's why we bring it together that way, because I think that's truly what the world needs.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And there is a lot of hype out there, and it's not about the hype. It's about the meat and potatoes, right? It's like, just show me what it is that I need. Just step 1, step 2, step 3, just walk me through it, and show me and tell me what I have to do, how I can incorporate that. And I think a lot of things that I have seen over the years, over the 40 years that I've been in business with this, the thing that I see the most is people that are on stage, people that are talking, people that are even teaching out there doing workshops and stuff like that. The thing that I see lacking that I put into what I do to make sure is that action step.
Yeah, no,
Right?
totally. Nothing moves if nothing moves, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like the laws of physics. There can only be forward momentum if there's activity, if there's some kind of
Right.
push for it, right? And no, it's something actually. I kind of talk about this with my clients in the sense of if you want to push forward, there are things that you have to leave behind, right? It's like if
Oh,
you want to
so
walk
true.
forward, you literally are pushing back on stuff. You're pushing away from stuff. And so when you're trying to grow a business, when you're trying to grow any area of your life, you need to basically actually become like you were talking about, a better version of you and move forward. And so it's kind of like the laws of physics come into play with that as well.
Right. I like the way you bring that science in because it's so true, right? And it's been proven now. Science has proved what unscience has known. You have physics and metaphysics, right?
Exactly.
And now they're in the same bed. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, when I started, they weren't even on the same planet,
Right.
you know? So to be able to see that and have that proof is what's really, really great. But again, it is that consistency, right? And that determination. Sometimes, getting into business for yourself, it all sounds good, it looks good, it's fun. Oh yeah, I'm going to make all this money and I can do all these things and I've got this freedom and I got this and this and this. Yet if you don't take the actions, because there are a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go
Yeah.
behind the scenes. It's kind of like this show.
Yeah.
It looks great right here, right? But there was a whole lot of things that went into making this do what it does at the best possible and at the highest performance.
Yeah, no,
Right.
for sure. And that's how we talk about the unsexy truth, because like we talked about, a lot of people, they market, you can have this laptop lifestyle or you can work from
Right.
anywhere, make great money. When in actuality, I mean, you have to understand they're trying to sell you something with that lifestyle. It's not necessarily a reality that they're selling. It's, yes, you can work from anywhere. I can work from anywhere myself, but it doesn't mean that I don't work hard. It doesn't mean that I put in long hours sometimes. It doesn't mean that I'm responsible for a team of people and I have employees that I have to pay. There's actually, the more you grow your business, the more responsibility you have to have. And so,
Oh
yes,
yeah.
there's the upsides of making more money and being able to travel more. But I think a lot of people don't realize what it actually takes, because it's not easy. If it was easy, I mean, it's the classic saying, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yes.
Not everyone does it. A very small percentage of people who even just start a business get to six figures or $1 million a year. And so it's really like having the right expectation, I think, because if people have an expectation that it's going to be easy and they go into it, they're going to get hit hard. But if they have the expectation of, this is going to be really hard work, but it's going to be worth it, I think
Right.
that's the correct mindset to go into it with.
Yeah, I agree. And you said a word, easy,
Mm.
right? Nothing in life is easy,
Mhm.
but everything in life is simple.
Yes.
So if you go into it with the simplicity of it, it'll flow with ease.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean it's easy, it'll flow with ease. But if you go into it with the opposite mindset, now you're going to struggle, you're going to go into difficulties and stuff like that. You make it hard, it changes the mindset up here.
Exactly.
So again, everything has a process. We talked about science, right?
Mhm.
So when you talk about physics and you talk about science, it's all in an art. It does the same thing consistently over and over and over. It doesn't have to think about it. It
Yeah.
just is. So to find your is that you keep on doing over and over and over is really understanding that process. And it is a process, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so where is this process? So when you're talking with someone,
Yeah.
to get their business going, what are some of the key questions that you would ask them? So if our listeners, kind of want to figure out if they want to go into business or
For
if
sure.
they want to go to the next step, what kind of questions could you give them to start toying around in their mind to say,
Yeah.
am I ready to get a hold of Rueben and see where he can help me go beyond?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I mean, the basic premise I always ask people of like, they always ask me, what's a good time or a timing to get a mentor? And in my opinion, it's always when you want to move from one stage of an area of your life, whether it's health, relationship, business, whatever it is,
Right.
to another level that you've never gotten to before. And so if a business, let's say we often work with like a lot of coaches. So if there's a coach who's making a full-time income, but maybe they want to build their business to making a couple six figures per year. Well, they've never done that before, and they don't know what it takes, what it looks like, and the pathway to get there. And so I always advise people, if you have a goal and you've never been there before, find someone who has. In our cases, our company has done it ourselves many times, and we've helped hundreds of other people do it. And so that's an amazing place to get a mentor. It's when you're at that stage. There's a lot of people who are like, you should always have a mentor. And it's like, that could be true, but I think there's times when you need them more than other times. And it's when you're making that leap from one level to the next level.
And that's also, having a mentor or a coach, it's also having that little bit of a support team that's going to push you just past that comfort zone of questioning us, like push you over the cliff, so you can catch the updraft instead of crashing to the rocks, right?
Exactly.
So, and again, is being accountable. I can't say that enough, is to have that accountability. And we don't always have that in ourselves. And it's not always getting that support from maybe a partner or family member or even a close friend, because they're too close to you to really have that push that you need, because they hear your blah, 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 and you hear their blah, 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 right?
Yeah, no, that's why, getting a mentor that sometimes is a person you don't know but has the expertise is so helpful, because they will push you in a way that maybe people that do know you won't push you. And I mean, the other thing, like you talked about, accountability. The reason, I think it's so important is because when you want to move from one level to another, you have to create new habits. You need to create better habits, and the only way you can create a new habit is by doing new activity and doing it consistently. And oftentimes it takes a bit to create a habit, and to make that consistent transition, you need someone that's checking in on you. And so that's why we always talk about in my space, I always say that one-on-one coaching is probably the best thing for people, because there's a lot of different types of coaching, whether it's courses, group coaching. But we really, really push one-to-one, because it's just faster growth, because it's faster accountability, more check-ins.
Well, it's all personal. Yeah. It's personalized to their specific issue. And again, having that outside person helps that procrastination. Right? Yeah. The excuses that we start building up here, and then the justification of the excuses, right? And then we look at like, whoa. But you also capitalize on something here, what you were saying, to being that better. It's like making new activities, new actions and everything. So that's part of that. Leaving behind what no longer serves purpose. Pushing that non-purposeful stuff out of your way. Because if you live in your thoughts of your past, your actions of your past, your now is going to act just like your past, which then makes your future look exactly like your past. And it's like, what the hell happened here, right? So living in the present and being in the present and acting in the present, being consistent with that new action, is going to make that future look way different than your rearview mirror, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's kind of the common principle that whatever got you to where you are today will not get you to the next step.
Yes.
It's whether it's even in the gym. Like, I mean, I often talk about gym examples. Like, lifting a certain type of weight a certain amount of time will get you to a certain level, but it will never get you to the next level. You need to pick up a heavier weight. And so it's the same thing in business, it's the same thing in relationships, is you need that new next thing to basically stimulate your muscles, as it were, business, whatever it is, to get to the next level. And so it's hard, because we often get adapted to it and we're comfortable. And you're right, we have to get out of the comfort zone, just like again, in business, again, lifting heavier weights is not comfortable. It's very uncomfortable, actually. It hurts, but it stimulates growth.
Right.
And that's I mean, one of the key things I think to a lot of people's fulfillment is that progress, that feeling of growing. So it's an important part of the process.
And the key word I think out of what you just said is stimulate, right?
Yeah.
How do you stimulate yourself? And again, that comfort zone, right? You know, we kind of reach that place of comfortability because it's predictable.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so we know the so-called norm of what is going to happen. And so even if I kind of sort of don't like it, at least I know it's safe. It's not going to hurt me. It's better than what I had.
Totally.
You know, but what if I do something to mess this up? And then it goes to worse, but what if you do something to mess it up to make it better, right? So it's a change of that mindset. And you talked about creating new habits and everything. So it takes 30 days to create a new habit. Right. However, it takes 45 days to get rid of the old stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, ouch,
yeah.
Right?
No, it's hard, right? It's hard to get rid of those things. And you're so right in what you're saying about how when you want most human beings, they want to feel safe, right? It's kind of like a core desire, and we think that if we keep doing the same things that have been keeping us safe, we'll stay safe.
Right.
When actually, when you just stay in the same place, you get into this. I call it. You basically start to become unfulfilled. You start to feel unhappy. And it's this interesting because there's this principle that uncertainty actually creates more fulfillment long term. When you're in a growth zone and you're uncertain, but you're moving somewhere, it's funny how it actually stimulates more fulfillment in you. When you think about whether it's a growth phase in business or when you were like in a growth phase in a relationship and you were growing and it was uncertain, it wasn't like predictable because it was moving forward.
Right.
Usually when people are actually more happy. And so we have this twisted thinking, right? That predictability creates fulfillment, but it's actually uncertainty.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great analogy of what you said, you know, and again, whether it's in business or whether it's in relationship, it's that forward action that needs to be taken, you know, and it's our own creation. And you talked about stimulating. You know, so it's what the mind can conceive and believe it's going to achieve. So when you put that mindset out, the different thought patterns. So your mind is what creates your thought.
Yeah.
When you put your thought into action, it goes into the brain. Now it's been proven that the neurotransmitters start firing. You get neural pathways that get created. Yeah. And it's also been proven that when you stay stagnant and you stay in the so-called predictable comfort zone and you don't have that uncertainty, not the fears, but the uncertainties and the challenges to try new stuff, get to be that better you. The brain stays alive and healthy, and it can build those neurotransmitters, those new neural pathways. And when you create that new habit, that neural pathway that you created at the beginning of it, in 30 days now is a permanent fixture in the brain. But if you don't stay with it, that neural pathway will just disappear. When you come to like Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that, what happens is the brain is not being activated, it's not being stimulated. Right. So there it begins to shrink. Because again, here's this predictable comfort zone. It has no challenges, nothing new, you know, whatever. And so it begins to shrink and shrink and shrink. And then now we can't reach into compartments and stuff because all the neurotransmitters have been shut off.
Yeah, right? Totally. I think actually that principle, I think applies to all of life because, I mean, a lot of people say if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. There is no like staying in the same place.
No, there isn't. There isn't. And, you know, everything is constantly moving. I mean, you take a microscope, you put anything under that microscope, you've got constant action. All the time. Everything is vibrational frequencies all the time. Just like this world behind me keeps on moving.
Exactly. Right? And that's the same thing with like when we work with people in business, they're like, well, if I just do X amount of work consistently and just stay at that point, like, won't I like consistently get the same results? It's like, you will for a little bit, and then it'll slowly start to wane off. There has to be growth and progress in these different areas month to month.
Yeah, otherwise things get stale.
Exactly. It's kind of like I say, you're on a treadmill. Basically, like if you stop and you think you're staying stagnant, you're moving backwards. You have to run really fast actually to get out of that.
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of picture it that way, because I think a lot of people do think, no, I'll just kind of do my thing and be consistent, when actually they are taking steps backwards, because like their mind, it's not creating new things, and so it's shrinking.
Yeah, exactly. And change is going to happen. A lot of people, when you say, hey, you got to change something, oh God, they just like freak out. What do you mean I got to change this? Are you kidding me? It's like, well, no, because change is the ultimate consistency, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen with or without you. Now you have a choice. You have your free will. You have your choice. You can go with it, or you can go without it. Yeah. But it's going to go.
Exactly. No, things are always changing. I mean, the situation in the world right now is a classic example of things are, and we have to change. And it's kind of like people are always wanting to go back to normal. It's going to be a new normal. Every time something big happens in the world, you need to change and adapt and learn to become a new, basically a person in this world. And so it's a very classic example of like, it's going on right now, and you have to adapt.
Yeah, and it is such a global movement. I mean, when you look at everything that's going on, because you'd hear different things, in this country or that country or whatever, right? But this is global. Everyone on the planet is in this element right now, which is really something that has never ever happened.
No, it's big. It's big.
Yeah. And it just goes to show really how small the world really is. I mean, we're all one, and we're all connected. Doesn't matter what color, what creed, what belief, what sex, it doesn't matter. We're still all one, because we all came from the same divine intelligence of whatever substance you want to call it, right? That's been proven in science as well, right? So we're all there. We're just in a little bit different format, but we all have free will. We all have our mind, which is the essence of our spirit, to maneuver around in this physical vessel that we've chosen to jump in this dimension. What are you going to do with it? It's just like buying a new car, right? Are you going to get in and drive the hell out of it and have fun with it, or are you going to park it in your garage?
Exactly. No, it might feel safe to park it in the garage, but you're not going to be happy. If I would get a really expensive vehicle, I'd be tempted to not drive it because it's so nice, but I would have no joy in it.
That's right. And that's a key word. That key word is joy. You might have happiness in your life. You might have satisfaction in your life. But if you don't have joy, again, we look at the vibrations, the frequencies of these different words. Happiness and joy are not the same.
True. Very true.
Fun is not the same. Right? So each word has a different definition and a different feeling. And when you start working on what that feeling is, what that vibration is, because we are a vibration. We're electrical magnetic being. And we have a positive charge and a negative charge.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And that negative and positive charge has nothing to do with good or bad or right or wrong.
Yeah.
Right? And we've talked about that on different shows. And so when you're working with clients to build their business, to get that energy, to get that stalemate out of there, what would be one thing that you use consistently to help people kind of get off that stagnation?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we have a kind of a method that we call the attractive character, which is every person that runs their business needs to be what we call the attractive character, which is the person that their ideal client wants to be. Now, when they show up, and specifically in a marketing sense, they need to show up with the energy that their ideal client truly wants to live their life at, right? So they need to, basically, it's like they need to be the prime example of what their ideal client wants to become. And so that if you don't show up with energy like that, you're not going to attract it, right? I mean, energy attracts people who want that energy. And that's, so it's really important. So we talk about that method of being like, okay, who does your ideal client want to become? You need to be that person, and you need to show up in the way that would draw out that emotion or that energy from them.
Right. And again, that's where we come into that positive negative charges, right? So if you take something that's negative, all right, it's resonating at a lower vibration, but it's very potent, very, very potent.
Yes.
Then you take a positive charge, which is resonating at a higher speed.
For sure.
Right? And let's use fear. Let's use fear and courage. Okay? So let's use fear and courage. Right? So how do you charge the courage that you're lacking?
Yeah.
Charge it with the fear. So you put the fear down here and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like, okay, I know I have the courage to step out of this comfort zone. I know I have it. So you stand in the midst of your fear and you put your belief of courage here with the focus on what you're looking to capitalize on to gain, right? And you stay standing in that. That fear is going to push that courage up here to get stronger and stronger and stronger, faster and faster and faster, right? Yep. However, it can also work the opposite. If you have your courage here, but you let fear, instead of drive you, beat you up, it's going to go upside down. What's going to happen?
It's going to push it down.
The negative force is stronger than the positive force. It's going to make you go this way, and you're going to go in a direction, in a dark hole you don't want to be in, because that's why you came into this being and wanting to be that better you, wanting to get that business going or get a better relationship or something like that. It works. So know where you're putting your charges. Yeah. It takes a whole lot more work to stay in a negative charge than it does to stay in a positive charge.
Yeah, no, totally. And I would totally agree with that, where you can actually, in a sense, use the negative energy to move forward, right? Yes. Where, you might have, it's kind of like the classic, like you can move somewhere because of pain. The pain actually helped you grow. It helped you move forward. Not necessarily that the pain is always a bad thing, actually. So it's, I like how you explained it.
Yeah, so it's what's driving you. That's the thing, what's driving you. And when I started my journey back, this was a long time ago, probably before you were even born. In 1974 is when I really started my true journey, because I had totally lost 100% of what my identity was. I was now being identified by association. You're so-and-so's mom, you're the one who writes for the newspaper, you're the one who pumps the gas, you're the one who, whatever it is, right? And it's like, well, wait a minute. Who am I? And I began to ask myself this, and I was not living the life of my dreams. I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing. And my life at that point was so full of anger. Oh my God. Anger and hate, and then blame, holding someone else responsible. Right. And I had to explode, verbally outside of myself and listen to, I gave God a piece of my mind, so to speak, out loud. Walking down the gravel roads, and I'm telling you, I had an implosion of anger that would work better than any earthquake or any volcano eruption or any tsunami. It was big. But it gave me an aha moment, because I heard all of this stuff that I had suppressed. Right. For the first 24 years of my life. And I was a rebel. I was a rebel. I rebelled everything, right? Tell me not to do it, right? Watch me. Definitely not a way to live. But that was me. But it got me into the business that I'm in now. It took me where I needed to be. Yeah. Just like what you were saying, what took you, what drove you there? So my anger was the driving force to put me where I needed to go. Yeah. Right? And I had 3 kids under the age of 5 at that time. Wow. And it was like, okay, what am I going to do to make this better for me and my kids? Because I am not staying where I am. I'm not staying in a dead-end marriage. I'm not staying in Iowa. I'm not staying, not doing what I want to do. I need an identity. I need to know who I am, why I am, where I am, and what is my purpose of fulfillment. And I did that. You talk about going inner soul searching. Back in the 70s, they didn't have all the stuff available today. You
For
guys
sure.
got it easy, man. So you better use it because it works. I mean, the speed. But again, it's the pioneers like myself, that helped to build what is here and available today. And all the different shortcuts and all the different modalities and the wisdom that come out of it from those experiences. And where my experiences come from was also listening to the self, but also moved, into a spiritual world and into past civilizations and how they conquered and what took them down. Here is your civilization in here. What's going to build you up or what's going to tear you down? And knowing that inner knowing of who you are. What is your purpose? And I assume, and you correct me if I'm incorrect, the business that you're doing when you're teaching people the steps to move forward in their business is going inside to find that purpose.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like anyone can want to make money in a business, but I think the people who have, you can call it a different things, a calling or a mission or a vision of why they're doing what they're doing, often work harder and are better clients, to be completely honest. Because I think when they kind of, yes, they want to create impact, yes, they want to create an income, but when they move past and be like, what was I placed on earth to do, as it were? Right. I think those are the people that can move the fastest because they are driven by something. Right. And so I think it's a really important thing to, like understanding your why. Why are you doing it? Some people are just like, oh, I want to make money, I want to have a full-time job. And they can do that, but they often kind of stay there because that's the only thing driving them.
Right. Right, and you got to find that new vision, that new dream. Keep making it bigger and bigger because if you, again, like we said, you get in that comfort zone because now you've reached that, and you had that aha moment of fulfillment. And I don't know, for me, the journey to get there was more fulfilling than actually getting it. It's like, oh, well, now I'm here. Now what am I going to do? It's like, oh man, what's next? Right?
Exactly.
So it's like the hunt, right, is better than the actual conquer.
Oh, totally. No, it's, I mean, it's when people say you need to learn to enjoy the process, it's because that's the only thing that happens throughout all of life. You never reach the destination you think you're going to hit. And so you need to learn how to enjoy what's going on while it's going. Yeah.
And sometimes that ride can be a roller coaster. Sometimes it can be, crash.
It can have its ups and downs. Exactly. Yeah.
It does have its ups and downs, But again, it's like seeing the Rocky Mountains for the first time. Right? And so here you are, you're in the foothills of your life, right? And then you walk up into your first 5,000 feet mountaintop, right? And then what's that mountain doing over there, right? So now you go to 8,000 feet. Then you go to 10,000 feet. And then you go to 15,000 feet, right? And then you jump in an airplane at 12,500 feet and jump out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, shit. I like that.
So each step along the way is going to get you to a different avenue of excitement, right? What thrills you? What excites you? What drives you, right?
Yeah. No, I love it.
So when you chose the business that you did to help others, on that journey into the business, what drove you into that avenue of it versus maybe some of the other type of coaching?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically my wife and I built a couple businesses on our own and they started to become successful. And I just had a really desire to help other people not have to go through all the crazy, hard financial times that we had and to make it easier for them. So basically it was a bit of a calling of actually helping those people, number one, go after their own callings, but number two, making it easier for them so that it was easier on the relationships that they had and on kind of the stress that they were going through. So that was the main reason we moved into this space.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think that is a lot of the challenging, that starting your own business and making it successful is the income.
Yeah.
But I've noticed too, if you put the income last instead of the main focus, it's easier to, again, how can I serve you? So now you've created a serving, your passion, your purpose, and now you're doing what you love. The financial reward automatically comes. But if you focus on just the money, it's like you're chasing it and you're really forgetting what it is that you're looking to serve,
Exactly.
right? And so shifting that around a little bit. I know you earlier in this conversation you said one word, desperate.
Yeah.
Right? So it's getting out of that desperation. And I think right now, the way the world is gone, people are starting to get a little bit desperate because they aren't getting that paycheck.
Yeah.
The majority of people are not getting that paycheck because they push a time clock. Whoa. That's kind of a scary thing, right?
Very scary. Yeah, no, totally. And I talk a lot about this with our clients, which is there's a law of reciprocation, which is if you put out into the world value, which can look different ways, but you will get back value, and usually monetarily.
Right.
So we always talk about the more free value you provide to the world, the more money value you're going to get back. And so that's the way that we describe it, because value attracts value.
Right. And I think right now too, even more so than ever, because of the social distancing thing, people are really understanding what it means to have that personal touch. People need people. We are on a planet where people need people, right?
Yep.
And my partner and I, we started working on this prior to, is working in the virtual reality world, the avatar virtual reality.
Right.
Not Zoom virtuals. That's not virtual.
Totally.
That's kind of semi-virtual. But when you start getting into that avatar world, I mean, the psyche changes, everything changes, and we're doing this on a structured platform for information, getting people to be able to connect outside of the social distancing that has been, not there, as if you were right there. So now the psyche can actually perform differently, but also do it in an education. We are in an era where information and education is totally unlimited. The library of the world is at our fingertips.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty amazing. But the thing is you can have all the information in the world, but if you don't, we'll go back to this, take the action.
Yeah.
Then what good was it to have, right?
Exactly. No, I mean, like it's we live in the information age. You can basically find anything for free online.
Yeah.
And that's not the helpful piece. The helpful piece is when you implement it, right? And so it's really important for people to understand that, because they think that buying into something that gives them information is going to change them automatically, when nothing changes unless you take movement, unless you actually take action. So it's just realizing that it's super simple things like that actually make the difference.
Yeah, and it is, again, like you said, it is simple. Is it easy? Maybe not so much, but it is simple. It is simple, right?
Exactly.
So, again, I think it's the verbiage a lot of times that we don't understand, that we interpret, away from what the real meaning of that is, right? There's a book out that I read so many years ago, I think it was in the 80s, The Power of the Spoken Word.
Right.
And when you really start to understand that, look at the words that you use. Where in the dictionary, simple is at the end of the dictionary.
Yeah.
Easy is at the beginning.
Right.
Okay, if it were easy, you wouldn't have all these other words to get to the simple, right?
Yeah.
So find the simplicity in life. You might have to flip through a whole bunch of pages to get to it, right?
For
Where
sure.
were you the most happiest doing those simple things, right? Look at a child. Look at a child, how simple and fearless their life is. Right?
Yeah.
That's what you need to get back to.
Yeah. Back to the child. Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
Yeah. Yeah, we can learn so much from that. And then you can go to the opposite end and you start looking at the elders, that have gone through, being old is not being unproductive or worthless or whatever.
Right.
This is where the wisdom comes from, right? So it works together, right? So when you can learn from your life's experiences, you become wiser.
Yeah.
And you reach a certain point in your life, and all of a sudden it's like those big aha moments come. Learning from other people's wisdom challenges, right? Don't say it's their, mistakes. Don't call yourself a mistake. It's like, okay, what's the wisdom and the information that I can get out of here? What's going to make me a better me by learning what it was? What was the message in there? Why did I have to experience that? Right? It's like the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, thinking you're going to get a different outcome. Well, you watch somebody else doing that, right?
Yeah.
Just because you do it doesn't mean you're going to get a different outcome. It's like, they used to tell my kids this all the time, and they would just like, oh, God, Mom, not that story again, right? But it was so true. It was like, okay, you can have your experiences. Know that they're your choices. And then the consequences or the outcome, you're going to have to figure out why you chose to do it when you knew the outcome was going to be the same. So go ahead, have that experience. But know that if you get behind a car and you push that gas pedal at 70 miles an hour and you hit that brick wall, the outcome is going to be the same whether you're driving the vehicle or somebody else. Yeah. So you put that to use in every action and activity that you take. Right? Yeah. You can fast forward to a dead end, or you can fast forward over the cliff, catch the updraft, but know where the walls are. Know
for sure.
where there is no updraft by doing what? Learning from other people's experiences.
Exactly. No, it's the beauty of mentorship. It's basically, we're all going through a maze in life. And if you get someone who's already gone through a lot of the maze already, it's going to be a lot easier for you. And it's learning that, I think, from a young age, is learning to get those mentors and find the ones that maybe click with you the best, and just kind of keep following them.
And it's interesting, when you look at parents, it's like you reach a certain point in life where younger in life, mom and dad know everything. Right?
Yeah,
and you're just eating it up. And then all of a sudden you get to those teenage years, and then pretty soon mom and dad are the most stupidest people on the planet. Okay, they don't know. You don't know. You don't get. You don't know. It's like, okay, I don't know. That's okay. But this is where the grandparents come in, because they've reached, gone through that. And so a child, a teenager may listen more to that grandparent or whatever. Or they'll even listen to a total stranger and come back. Here they are, in their teenage years or in their early 20s, right? And come back and say, oh my gosh, Mom, you're never going to believe what just happened to me. So-and-so over here at work, I just met this person, and they're telling me da-da-da-da-da. Let's see, I think I've been saying that since you were 12. And you know what?
It's sometimes they'll only hear from someone else than a relative or whatever it is, right? It's the same thing with marriage. Sometimes you hear it from someone else, like, oh, it's a great idea, but did you listen to your wife? No. And I should have. So
yeah, the coulda, shouldas. Yeah, right. So that's kind of the way life is. And then again, as you grow, you start getting into your 30s, between say 28 and 32, in that area. All of a sudden, mom and dad start to get smarter. By the time you hit your 40s, it's like, oh man, I wish I'd listened way back then. Right? But again, that's what's made you who you are today. That's what has driven you and gotten you, again, to build that personality of who you are. And understanding and getting into that innerness of really your true identity. And I think that's probably why I chose the work that I did. And I call myself an identity revelation.
Yeah.
Right?
There you go.
Coach, because it is finding that purpose in that identity. Because if you don't know who you are, how can you be an expression of what you are?
Yeah.
Right?
No, I love that.
And so if you don't know what it is that you want out of business, how are you going to be able to do a business to get the outcome you want, right? Yeah. So it's the same thing, right? Whether you're looking inside here or you're looking inside a business format, And again, we go back into that science, right?
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, Rueben, this has been a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
I've enjoyed this.
You mentioned something to me that you are now an up and coming author.
Yeah.
So, any ideas? Do you want to give us a little forefront? Is what do you think
Yeah.
you'll call your book?
Yeah, you know what? I've actually been asking and thinking about this a little bit. I have one idea. It might not be the final one, but we might title the book "The Heart-Centered Millionaire,"
Ooh,
because
I like
I'm really big into the heart-centered, and I told you about how I love teaching people to be heart-centered and business savvy, and so I think that's probably what it's going to be called.
And you could use that as your title, and
Hmm.
then being heart centered and business savvy as your tagline underneath that subtitle, because
Yeah,
they both speak to each other, and it really is. My book's called The Power Formula:
right.
Heart, Mind, Connection.
There you go.
So
Yeah,
again, we're talking about the same thing, right?
yeah.
And it is about that, because the heart is the feeling, it's the depth of who you are.
Hmm.
Where the mind connection, the mind is reaching into the unlimited knowledge that we spoke about earlier,
Yeah,
the total infinite of where you can think it can become. But until you get into the heart of it,
yeah.
right, which is your center here, to bring it really into life, those two key elements are very, very powerful. And to bring that connection together
Yeah,
is very powerful. So you're on to something right there. That's a
yeah,
that's a great book. And then to be able to take that book and turn it into a course, to where now you can teach the application, because we talked about that, the importance
yeah.
of taking that action, right?
Exactly.
So when you begin writing your book, your title and your subtitle are telling you where you need to be, but it's also telling you how to take the action,
Yeah, 100%. Now, there's
right?
going to be a lot of that in there for sure.
Yeah, and so to be able to have a course, whether it's online or live, to be able to really do that, that's where the power lies.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm excited for it. I really am.
That's good. Well, then get at it.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me give you a couple little tips on writing book, because you can actually write a book in a weekend.
There you go.
Now, we overthink it. It's just like anything, right? And I'm sure you find this with your clients. You begin to overthink, and thinking it has to take a longer period of time to get to that outcome. You can get there faster, you can get there slow. You push the pedal however hard you want, right?
Yeah,
And so when you're writing a book, if you get out of your head and you say, okay, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes, put it on a timer, 5 minutes, and I'm just going to write down names of chapters, and just write. Just
yeah,
write as many as you can. Okay, it goes off. Stop. Okay. All right, now what you're going to do is you're going to take 5 minutes and you're going to look at all those chapter headlines that you put, see which ones connect to, that are similar, right?
hmm,
And when that buzzer goes off, you stop. Then you take a look at, which ones that you put together, and you give yourself 5 minutes to say, what am I going to put in this content of this chapter around this? And you write for 5 minutes. If it goes off, you stop. Then
yeah,
you go to the next one and say, oh, okay, this is chapter, doesn't matter what chapter, but this is the next one. And you give yourself 5 minutes and you just write. Because when you think about what you're going to write, it doesn't always work out. Right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, because you want to process it. Doesn't matter whether you spell things right. It doesn't matter. That's what editing's all about. You need to get that thought out, and you can
Right.
do this in a weekend.
Yeah,
And then you can start editing it and start really looking at the content, because now you're giving yourself food for thought to elaborate on, and then you can align the chapters.
yeah,
I wish I would have had that information when I started mine, because
for sure.
one thing was leading to another, and to another, to another, right? And I think I'd been working on it for about 3 months, right?
Okay.
And I went to bed one night. It's like, oh my gosh, how do I get this to really be in the format that I want it, right? The
Hmm.
next morning I got up and I hear this message loud and clear. You're not writing an encyclopedia. You're writing a book.
Yeah.
12 chapters, key elements, produce it. Okay. And so I did. And I broke that apart, and it's like, okay, these are the things that need to be in book number 1. Bing, 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 right? And then, okay, here's the follow-up book, and here's the follow-up book, and here's the follow-up book, right? So you can't teach everything that you know in one setting.
For sure.
So it's a step-by-step process, right? So you take the key to get them off their little haunch, right? And out of the doorway and into the exposure to get something moving, to get some action going forward that's getting a receiving action coming in, that exchange, and then you go to the next book, the next step, the next level, as you put it, right? So, but you have to start somewhere.
Perfect.
And so for writing a book is the same way. It's not an encyclopedia. So you go back, what was the first thing that you did to ignite, and you'll have your book. And
that's good.
And you can have it completely done and edited in a week if you put your mind to it.
There you go. Well, I should just get to it right away.
There you go. Hey, there's no time like the present, right?
Right.
Wayne Dyer. Have you ever heard of Wayne Dyer?
I don't think so, actually.
I follow Wayne Dyer. Oh gosh, I think he first started coming out with this stuff around the late '90s, early 2000s, and he was a doctor. And Deepak Chopra, maybe you've heard that name.
Yeah.
Okay, him and Deepak were buddies, and they were both in the medical field, but they went differently in their aspects of life. And he went more into the spiritual aspect, and it was exactly what I was doing. And every time I read one of his books, it was such major confirmation of everything that I had been doing. Well, one comment that he made, he said, "Don't die with your story still inside you."
That's good.
Okay? And I think that can be true. You don't have to write it in a book, but it's getting your story out. And that's kind of what this show is all about, is to help people get their story out. Let your voice be an expression, because all it takes is one person to hear your story that will change their life forever.
Yeah. Perfect. Right? I love it.
So don't die with your book inside of you. Get it going.
I won't. I'm going to get it going right now.
No more procrastination. We talked about that. Consistency, right? Oh, it doesn't taste good when you eat your own medicine, does it?
Nope. Right now.
Yeah. Oh, Rueben, if people want to get a hold of you, what can they do? How do they find you besides commenting below here, guys? You got that comment below.
I'm on Facebook. Yeah, Facebook mainly, just Rueben Diredger. We produce most of our content on there, so that's the best place.
That's the best place. You heard it from the expert here. He's going to help you get your business going and going better and bigger, right?
Perfect. Exactly.
Oh gosh, Rueben, thank you so much for being on here. It was exciting. We could talk and talk and talk, and that's one thing I have found with the speakers that I've had on here. It's just like, you just don't want to shut up. There's just so much good stuff,
Oh, for sure. That's why we're going to have to write a book.
There you go. So the next time you come on, I want to see that. Here's my book. Right?
Fabulous. Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to make you accountable to that. So in 3 months, I'm going to say, where's that book?
Perfect. Let's do it.
I could have said 3 weeks, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Good.
Oh, all right, everybody. It's time to say go out there and be that best you that you can be, because Rueben and I are going to be the best we that we can be. And thank you so much again for listening. Thank you, Rueben, for being here. And we'll see you guys on the next show.
Thank you.